Let's talk about plants, baby. Let's talk about soil and seeds. Oh, one of my favorite topics. Was that too much? Okay, I'm sorry. That might have been too much. Hi, you guys, and welcome to our Loveland Life YouTube channel, where we're going to talk about plants today. We'll be talking about them as far as how to get them started, tips and tricks that I have, things that I really like, things that I don't really care for, why I have some in red cups. You know, you'll just see several different tips that hopefully you will find helpful in getting your garden started for the growing season of 2021. And depending on where you live, you might be in full swing. Just so you know, and you of course can look up your growing zone, but here in Loveland, Colorado, we are considered 5B. If you're not sure what that means, it just kind of gives you an idea of what plants do well in your growing zone. And it also gives you an idea of when to anticipate transplanting your plants outside. So that actually gives you a really good understanding of how should you start your seedlings. And for me, I have done it multiple ways. So it's not that I've been gardening for a long time, but I've tried different things as I've gone along. And I have tried starting everything early and had great success with that. It is a little bit more of a pain in the pickle if you don't have extra space. And you're gonna see I talk with my hands. Ooh, it's just how I am. But anyhow, you know, if you start things early, just anticipate that you're gonna need a little more space. So if you have, you know, a space in front of a south-facing sunny window, then that's fantastic. Utilize it. I start my things under the grow lamp, and then when they're mature like this, I start to transfer them to that sunny window I was referring to. So we'll continue talking more about that. Keep in mind, I have 2 kiddos. You might hear them. I told them it's quiet time, but that's probably not going to work that great, so we'll see. Again, I'm going to show you tips and tricks, so let's get started. And so this is the seedling soil that I usually use. There's lots of different options out there, so look at what you have available local to you. If you do use your outdoor soil, just be mindful that you do want to bake it not just because of mold or potential diseases that can be passed to your seedlings that just are not mature enough to handle it. Keep that in mind that you can also hatch eggs. I have hatched grasshopper eggs, and they are adorable, even though it was unintentional. However, they will eat all your plants. So keep that in mind. Do not do what I did. Make sure you either bake it long enough or use store-bought soil. Some people bake that too, or they pour boiling hot water on their soil before it. You know, there's different methods. I'd encourage you to look it up. I can maybe make a video on me starting my seedlings. I'm going to be starting some this weekend, so maybe I'll record and plug it in there or make a separate thing. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have questions, ask me though. Feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to reach out to me personally because I am still getting used to this whole recording thing and I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. But I do know if you reach out to me personally, I'm more than happy to help you. If you're wondering some of the things that I have already gotten started that you can start now, or if you're already on it, be encouraged. They start off small, but they grow quick. So just kind of keep in mind that if you're wanting to start herbs, this is a great time to do it. And, you know, it just so rewarding. I actually want to keep this one inside. I never say it right. It's marjoram. I think it's marjoram is how you pronounce it. I grew it last year. I put it outside. I struggled to give it enough water in the pot. So I'd love to put it maybe in a hanging type pot here in my house. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's only my 2nd year trying to grow it, and I just know that it doesn't tolerate our winters here in Colorado, and so I am going to just kind of keep it inside, make sure it's well watered, give it a sunny window, and see how it goes. Now, something like oregano, it's, you know, I've been told it starts from seed really easy outside. Unfortunately, I have not had luck. I have not had luck with starting it outside, but I've had great luck starting it inside. I had 4 of these and gave one away, and I just love it. It's so hardy. I was looking to see if there's any roots on this guy that I could show you. Sometimes you can see their little roots and the way that they spread. It's pretty incredible. So keep in mind, it's not a bad thing to have spread throughout your garden, but you're going to want to potentially keep it under control if there's certain areas you don't want it in, because it will kind of creep around. So oregano is a great herb to start. So catnip, I've had it in the window for a little while now, so it's a little more leggy. I'll probably trim it. But I tell you that if there's any seeds that start off good, it's this. Will it attract every cat in the neighborhood? I have no idea. You might be wondering, why are they in red cups? They didn't start in red cups, okay? They actually started in a seedling tray. These and how nifty they are is they come like this, right? So they come very compact, and when you fill them with water, so when you pour water over them, they get pretty tall, about as tall as, you know, the height of this. And so they're nice and fluffy, and you can plant your seeds in there following the instructions of the seed packet. And so that's a great option. Like I said, some people pour hot water over these because it helps them to hydrate, and then also because they're trying to kill off anything that might be moldy. I did not have any mold issues using these, but I know some people report that. I think it also depends on how well ventilated your space is that you're growing with. In the beginning, I keep this clear thing on it, and I do that even for the ones that I'm starting separately. I keep something to cover it, like a dome, to keep that moisture in. So if you have something like this and you've already used the pods, have no fear. There are still other things you can do. You know, you don't even need the ones with these grooves in it. You know, you don't need that. You could have just a tray and you could start that way. You can also buy bags separately, okay? They're very similar to the ones you find in here. You can directly plant them into the soil. My point is, you know, you can take your planting soil and you can turn this little bad boy inside out. Don't do what I did the first time I got these. I left them this way and they don't stand up very well. So you can definitely do this and just fold them inside out, fill them up with soil, and get your seeds in there, okay? But I want you to keep in mind with any bags, whether you get the starter kit, whether you get something like this, there is always the risk of the plant that your seedling, their roots growing out of these. And if you've got two together, so this one's a little, they come in different sizes. I mean, different sizes. You can see that. But anyway, if you have two growing together, so pretend these are both the same size. You've got them growing together, and they're in one of those containers I showed you. They're growing super well. Their roots get established. You're going to want to repot them potentially before their roots start to grow out of here. They'll literally protrude out the sides, out the bottom. The bottom's not a big deal. I know some people say they avoid watering from the top and they water from the bottom, and that helps just keep the roots growing downward versus protruding out. I unfortunately have not had very much luck with that. Mine just grow protruding anywhere, everywhere. And so I'm just giving you a heads up. If you use bags and you've got them together, just make sure that you've got somewhere else to put them, or that they are plants that don't, you know, have a huge sensitivity to some root separation when you pull them apart. So keep it in mind. If you're wondering, well, Regina, that's really frustrating. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to repot a whole bunch. That's okay too. You don't have to. There are other options. I haven't opened these yet. It actually is my first year getting these mini trays, because usually I have these big trays and they can be kind of difficult. I really recommend getting small trays, okay? I know people don't love plastic, but they're going to last you for a while, especially if you're starting plants indoors. So if your seedlings are indoors, under a grow lamp, this is a great option. The other thing is I plan to grow some seedlings to sell this year. I'm also getting some seeds prepared to sell as well, like in some envelopes. But my point is, if you're going to be growing seedlings, I have not tried it this way, but in my mind it should work out perfect. I'm going to put these in here and fill them with soil, let them grow, and when it comes time, if someone buys them, instead of sending off my plastic trays, because I'd really, really like to continue reusing them, and would rather than just pull this little snug guy out. So say I grew a basil plant for sale, I'd pull him out and he'd be full of soil with a beautiful lush basil plant, and then I could maybe put that in some wet paper towel in a little baggie, or, you know, whatever. I want to be kind of environmentally friendly, but I gotta kind of figure out what that's gonna look like. And just a little bit, okay? Go sit down and I'll get you some. Yes, go. Sometimes you need a snack while you're chatting. Because talking a bunch makes me hungry. I was saying, these are a good option. These are a good option. So are those starter kits. It's really just about, you know, what works best for you. in your garden, your time, your convenience, and your budget, things like that. So keep those in mind as you are choosing what you start your seeds in. So some things that I'm going to be growing this weekend, just getting them started, are things like kale, different varieties of kale, celery for sure. That's something that I start early just because, boy, does it take a while. I've tried broccoli, but it didn't get mature enough in time, and so it had a hard time transplanting. I think that everybody is a little bit different on when they start their seeds, and so don't take my word as the end all be all. Just remember I'm in zone 5B, and these are some things that I'm going to get started now to have ready when it comes time in about, late May to get them transplanted. I've never tried Swiss chard under my grow lamp like I have some of these others, but I'm going to give it a go and see how it goes, and if it is a good option to put under the grow lamp, then maybe I'll give a try selling some of them. I'm used to just directly sowing them. Keep in mind, I do a lot of direct sowing. I don't want to make the, recording or video all about that, but lettuce, great direct sower. Zion one time spilled a whole bunch of seeds and we just had a lettuce patch for a couple of years. And that was without even replanting them because they reseed themselves if you let them go to flower. Beets and radishes of different kinds. Beets and radishes of different kinds are great. I have not tried these yet, but I know that they're really good. I've seen them. I don't know if it'll show you. They're the daikon radish. I think that's how you say it. And so anyhow, I plan to grow those direct sow. I do plan to start more herbs. I know I showed you guys some earlier. I've got things like catnip and, I never remember, marjoram, something like that. Oregano. I've got winter savory, which I think is really beautiful. This is winter savory. It's kind of a funny little thing. Maybe I can show you another one. And keep in mind, I have duplicates of pretty much all of these. But I want to fill a lot of the gaps in my garden, with these herbs, or the borders with these herbs, to not just promote my own health and my family's health, but also to promote the health of my garden and to attract not just honeybees. You guys, we're going to have to talk about honeybees. It's not that they're bad, they are great pollinators, but there's a lot of native pollinators that get forgotten. So I'm trying to plant both herbs and things to help them out, help us out. This plant, I think, is self-heal. Don't be like me and just label your plants. I always think I'm going to remember by looking at them because I've grown them before, but I never remember. I want to say this is self-heal. To anticipate on how much space they take, just because they're small as seedlings or slow to start doesn't mean they won't be big plants when they're done. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're planning your garden. How many inches, how many feet, do they need to put? So like I mentioned, some things I like to get started early. You know that I did my herbs. I'm going to be doing more herbs. I've got some that are doing winter sowing outside. If you're not familiar with that, I'll probably talk a little more as I learn, but this is my first year doing it. You could join the winter sowing group on Facebook and learn some about it too. My aunt introduced me to it, and so like I said, this is my first year giving it a try. I'm going to grow lavender, sage, and borage. Not sure if I'm saying it right. Probably not saying it right. But anyhow, I'm going to be growing those and seeing how they do. I may grow a couple more, but it just depends if I get some more jugs. Because right now I have 3. So anyhow, along with some of these others that I mentioned, like the celery and the kale, and broccoli, things that I need to get started early, I'm also going to be starting peppers. Now, some people don't start them this early. I have with really good success. I usually started my tomatoes around this time too, but again, I don't want to move them from window to window this year. I really wanted to focus on herbs and have the space for the herbs, and I couldn't do that in my small house if I was starting my tomatoes early this year. So tomatoes, I'll be waiting for about a month. It's good to do things in waves, especially if your space is limited. So like I said, I started my herbs. They're pretty mature. They're going in front of my sunny window. By the time my celery and peppers are ready to be transferred to the window, these more frost-hardy seedlings will be mature enough to go outside. Honestly, they probably could go outside now. I'd rather just wait because I have the space, even with my small house. So figure out what works best for you. It's going to be a learning curve. I want you to still try things even though they may or may not work out. And the bonus about growing things from seeds is usually things are more affordable. At the end of the growing season, you can try to get some free seeds, either from people who have their own gardens, maybe from your place of work. Depending on where you work, sometimes they give out free seeds to their employees. I know that Daniel's job usually does that. Not every year, but they usually do it. I'm starting some new varieties that I've never grown before. So you can tell some of these I have. Some of the seedlings or seeds are a little old, so I don't know if I'll get seedlings from them or not, but I'm going to try. So as your seeds get older, it doesn't mean that they won't be usable. It just means that it might be less likely that all the seeds in your packet are viable. Is that going to be for every, packet that you buy? I can't say, because I think some seeds are more hardy than others, and it depends on how you're keeping it. I'm not a very good seed keeper. I just keep everything in bags and hang them up in this guest room closet. Probably not the best place, but it's the best place I have, so that's what I use. So anyhow, I'm going to be growing new varieties of peppers that I haven't grown before, along with some of the peppers I have grown before, and seeing how they go and how fast they grow. But I just think these are one of the things that I like to start early. I don't have to talk about these today because I'll talk about them as we get a little closer, but I love basil. I'll be starting a lot of basil. I'm growing some new tomato varieties this year, but I won't be starting them until later. Well, this isn't a tomato. This is tomatillos. But I'm starting some new varieties of tomatoes that I haven't grown this year. But I will start them later this month or early next month, just because tomatoes, they are hungry growers and they're pretty fast. So they'll be hopefully ready by the time I need to move them out. But I don't like to wait. Usually it says 4 to 6 weeks. I like to have a little bit more time than that, just because I like them to be really ready to take on some of the hardships like hail. Keep in mind, you spend this time planting your seeds. It's an okay thing to maybe start some extras if you've got the space. And I say that because you might experience hail, and maybe it won't be as bad as 10 miles down the road. Maybe you'll get missed altogether, or maybe you'll get hammered, and your plants should come back, but they don't always. Having extras that you keep safely indoors under your grow lamp or in a sunny window until you get past some of that critical time and your seedlings outside have survived the transplant and survived some of the harsh weather we can experience, here in Colorado, and I'm sure in other states too. Anyhow, and if you're wondering, Regina, it looks like you bought so many seeds. I've been collecting seeds for years, but I also keep seeds as the seasons go on. Just to grab a couple examples from my table, this is from cantaloupe last year. I'm looking down here, it's because I have bags of seeds. So I have lots of dill. I'm just going to toss it out there and just wait for spring to bring it to life. I'm really pumped for this growing season. There's so much I want to grow, so much I want to do. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you joining in to hear what I have to say about plants. I hope that you found some of this helpful. I know I rambled a lot. Have grace on me. I'm still new to this. Not necessarily to gardening. A little bit new compared to people who've been doing it for a long time. But my point is, I'm still new to this YouTube situation, recording, trying to get comfortable talking to the camera. Usually have my kids distracting me, all that fun stuff. So if you do have questions or concerns or feel like I missed something, feel free to drop a comment below, a question below, and just let me know, whatever it is, or reach out to me personally. I'm happy to help however I can on your gardening journey. And I'm excited to take you guys along on my gardening journey and share with you everything that I know and everything that I don't know. So again, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, to subscribe, to ring that bell. I do plan to post more. And again, I'm sorry that I haven't lately. It's just I've been tired with work and just life events, and so I'm trying to get more consistent, but it's that learning curve. So hang in there with me. Again, thanks for watching, and I will talk at you soon. Bye. Let's talk about plants, baby. Let's talk about soil and seeds. Oh, look, they're going to a dance party. Do 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 do.